Hi, you're watching Deirra, and thank you for joining us again. Topics today is inspiration, and we're here with Andrea Churchill. Thank you so much, Andrea, for joining us.
Thank you.
And we definitely want to get into her book that she wrote called The Lear Wood.
Lerewood is a very small, isolated town surrounded by a haunted wood. There's no path that could lead anywhere else, so they're completely isolated in like a very anonymous part and time of the world. I wanted to keep it very anonymous. And so the people of the Lerewood are, I kind of hinted at one point in the novel that they're basically just sprung out of hell, like they're just a natural evil like people, and the idea is that the creature that lives in the woods, a Lear, who everybody thinks is like a monster and a bad person, she's actually trying to keep Lerewood contained and the people of Lerewood contained, because if somebody were to leave, it would infect the rest of the world, kind of like open up a Pandora's box and infect evil into the world. Kind of has like touches of like biblical kind of stuff with Genesis and the snake and the Garden of Eden and things like that.
Wow, that's really magical.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. So now what inspired the name Lerewood and the whole idea behind it?
When I was younger, I used to read this comic online, and I got the idea from that because it was about, there was like a fairy, and her name was a Lear, and she was like this dark, evil forest fairy, and I just thought it was so cool, so I kind of based the book off of her and off of the comic. I think the comic had to do with like there was a curse on the town, but they were like ghosts.
Are you fascinated with like the darker side of a story?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
I definitely write dark topic. But currently I'm working on my second novel, which will be the first in a series, and it's about. It's just I love I love talking about it because it's such a great story. So it's about a Scottish criminal named Killian, and he has a daughter, and he hires a nanny to look after her, but the nanny isn't who she says she is. And he thinks she's a spy, and he does all this crazy stuff. He's a very paranoid man. He tries to prove that she's a spy, but she's not a spy. Killian as a character is such a dark person. He's got so many monsters, so many inner demons that he's got to battle throughout the series. And, you know, the story it's a dark family story because you have this single father with a 10-year-old little girl who's, you know, her father is a criminal, or like a really bad, he does a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah.
And she's also very isolated in that they live in a castle, and she's never been outside. So you deal with the nanny trying to handle all this, and how do you talk to a girl who's, you know, how do you handle all her questions that she has about the world that she's not allowed to see ever. It's pretty dark as far as like, you know, when you raise your kids and the things you tell them they're so impressionable at a young age, and you know you have to say the right things, otherwise they're going to grow up, you know, fragile. It has a lot to do with that.
You have to teach them about the real world, but know that there's a balance.
Yeah.
To that. So regarding your books being like more of a darker story, do you feel like the characters in the Lerewood, for example, resonates with how people are in today's society?
For sure. I mean, the main character, he battles with identity, in that he wants people to know who he is. Because nobody knows his name, nobody really acknowledges him. He's a nobody, and I think that definitely is something that resonates with me, and that, you know, in the entertainment industry, like, yeah, a part of it is I do want people to remember me and know my name, and I think everybody kind of wants like that in some way, that they don't want to be a nobody, they want to be known for something in their life. And I mean, all the characters are definitely symbolic of humanity, and that, you know, the Lerewood represents, you know, the evil that, you know, and it opens up that debate of are people born evil, or are we born with sin, or are we born without sin and we're just taught it based on our surroundings? It's, you know,
it's complicated.
It's, you know, in the book, I think it's the people of Lerewood were definitely born evil, but I don't know if that's something that
you would say about
people
in the world.
It's a debate. It's something to think about, you know.
it's amazing how you can look at a baby and just see its innocence and
Yeah.
just know that that child will have to grow up in the world, and all of
Yeah,
the
all
good
the
stuff also comes with bad things that
Yeah,
are
I
learned
think it's
and
I think it's
seen.
more of a nurture versus nature. That
Yeah.
based on your surroundings. I mean, you're going to grow up, different from one person to another, depending on, what your life is like, what your childhood is like.
Yeah.
If you're subjected to a lot of bad things.
Where are you from, Andrea?
I'm from Long Island, born and raised there. I currently live in Staten Island, but I grew up in Long Island. Went to school at Wanto High School. Pretty normal. I mean, I was good in school. I liked school. I was more of like a loner though in
Really?
school. Like I had friends, but I didn't really I always preferred time by myself. And my home life was like a little bit rough as far as like I was really depressed growing up. I went through depression a lot, and I think writing is pretty much what saved me from just getting worse from that point.
Really?
So yeah,
So is that what helped you write the book, The Lear Wood?
I think I started writing when I watched The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. It's my favorite movie. I saw that on TV, and I was obsessed with it so much that I went online and I discovered fan fictions about it, and I started reading some, and there was one that was so great, and I think that inspired me. Said, hey, I want to write my own story about, like me or a better version of me, in this world. And so I did fan fictions for a while, and along the line, I think somewhere like late middle school, early high school, I had the idea for the Lear Wood, and I think it gave me a purpose. That is what kind of told me, like, all right, this is what you were born to do, and that kind of helped pull me out of the state I was in, as far as just not being happy with my life and my situation, and that always kind of gave me the hope that, like, I'm gonna get out of here and I'm gonna move, and I'm just gonna have like a little writer's house, and I'm gonna live in like a small little forest and just write for the rest of my life. It was like the dream. I just wanted to write. That was like my sanctuary.
Wow. So do you think that you felt so down and depressed because you needed to connect your life with something you were meant to do within yourself, like within your
Yeah,
soul?
I think a lot of the times when people are so depressed in life, it's because they don't have a purpose, and they, unfortunately, a lot of people take their own lives because, personally, because I was not completely at that point, but I was at a point where I was thinking about it. And I think when people don't have a purpose and they don't have a reason to live, where they obviously they don't have a reason to live, they take their own life. But when you feel like you're not meant to do anything, like, what am I on this earth to do? If you can't come up with anything, that's I think what drives a lot of people to take their life. And not that I was at that point where I wanted to, but I think it came at just the right time that I learned my passion for writing, that it helped pull me away from those thoughts. And that was always when I was on my really lowest times. That was in the back of my mind. I said, no, I can't end my life until I've written like all these books, all these ideas that I have. And I still have like a list of like 20, 30 ideas for books that I just, and that's what I want to spend my life doing. That's what gives me purpose.
Wow. So we had a mental health episode recently, and it's funny that you mentioned purpose with finding more about who you are and aligning yourself with what you were meant to do in this world.
Yeah.
So also I notice sometimes we are depressed because our purpose may not be what the world has told us a purpose should be.
Yep.
Like, for example, if someone grew up where their parents taught them that they should be a doctor, and that's more important, or a scientist, a biologist.
Yeah. And I think
yeah.
for so many, I mean, my parents, I'll say specifically, and I think with a lot of parents for young kids, and a lot of people I work with, their idea is money. You have to have money to be happy. And I think that money is important for security and for comfort, but money is not my goal. My goal is not to sell a whole lot of books. It's just to write, because that gives me joy and purpose. And I have these stories in my head that I just need to get down, because if I don't, it's like I'm gonna explode,
When you're chasing your dreams, when you are in the action of doing your dreams, like creating, isn't that like more fulfilling, because you are actually experiencing that versus, oh, you need lots of money, and it's like, okay, you don't even know where to begin with that, and the end goal is lots of money, but you're not thinking about the now. Like, what would you be doing to make all this money that you were taught that you needed to make?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
my mom constantly was always bugging me about, oh, why don't you become a nurse? They make good money. Why don't you do this? They make good money. Even till today, she does that. And I'm like, you get it through your head that I don't want to do that. I mean, I went to school. I went to Sarah Lawrence College for a year, and it was, I think at the time, the most expensive college in the country. And I had a part scholarship, but I still had to take out loans and everything. And college is right for some people if you are passionate about something that you need a degree in. But writing, you really don't. And I went to Sarah Lawrence because it was supposed to, or I thought it was supposed to help me with writing. But I didn't learn a thing there. It was, my experience there was just academically and socially just not good.
Well, do you feel like parents sometimes, they just want the kids to be in the best position possible to help themselves out, to help their family out if need to be, so in case of an emergency or just to be set for life, you won't have to worry. So that's understood. At the same time, sometimes it's best as a parent to tap into what is best for your individual child. Like not just look at them as just a child, but look at them, their personality, what they were meant to do.
I mean,
listen to them.
Ever since I was a kid, I was always into crafts, into like building stuff. And my dad is a carpenter.
Oh wow! So that comes natural to you.
Yeah, like I would always help him with building like a birdhouse, or I had like a little set where I built like a little 3D house type of thing out of blocks, and not like Legos, but it was like more stone involved. And
oh really?
And he even helped me make shoes once out of wood, like clogs. And so I've
He did? Did you wear them?
They weren't really suitable for like going out, but yeah. So I've always been really creative, and I just loved arts and crafts, and I still do. And I feel like that should have been pretty obvious from the start that she is meant to do something creative. Yeah,
I think one of my creative moments was when I was about 5 or 6 years old, and I don't know where I got this idea from, but I wanted to make a shirt, and I said, like, let me get a pair of stockings and just make a shirt out of that, put a hole in it, and then at one point I wore that, and then I said, okay, I want to make a shirt, so I used a stapler. I wasn't allowed to sew, and I used a stapler as stitches and stitched the shirt and then turned it inside out, and I wore it as a shirt, voila, and I modeled down the block with it, telling my mom, oh, I want to go outside and play, but really I wanted to go and model the shirt that I stapled, and she let me wear it. Like, I thought I was just the best thing.
That's another thing I like to do is sew and make clothes and stuff. And I kind of grew up reading like fashion magazines. My mom would always give me like In Style to read.
Oh, really? She would give you the In Style to read?
Yeah, which I don't recommend. Mothers do, because I grew up with like this notion that like
what beauty is.
Exactly. And you see like, oh, if I wear these expensive clothes, I will look good. Or if I look like this, like these celebrities, I will look good. And that's such a horrible thing to teach young girls.
It took a long time. When I got older, I realized that these celebrities, they're wearing makeup. I didn't know when I was a little girl, if I would see people on TV that they were wearing makeup. I just thought they were naturally beautiful like that. Do you know what I mean?
And you see photos of like celebrities without makeup, and you're like, yikes, that's what I look like in the morning.
This day and age, there's so many things or people in our lives that are always pointing the finger outwards and ready to tell someone what they need to work on themselves. But I noticed there aren't a lot of people that take accountability and want to do the inner work. People like more so want to mask that and point the finger at
other people and
what someone else
like,
is doing.
They don't want to acknowledge their faults, and they want to point out other people's faults.
People will also talk about how bad someone looks, and then when that person decides to wear makeup or get surgery, they talk about that as well.
Yeah,
So
like
you learn, you just have to be happy with what choice you make
yeah,
because
like when people tell me
you,
like this sounds weird, but, and people don't really get this, but like when people give me a compliment, I'm like I don't really take it to heart because I even if it's good like comments, I
yeah.
don't care what other people think. I care what I think about myself. I want to be able to look in the mirror and like myself physically and myself internally.
Yeah. Sometimes
So
you might not be feeling good within, like inside. What if you didn't get that good of a night's rest? Then you may
yeah,
say, okay, I feel like blah today.
yeah.
So even if
I think
someone gives you a
I think
compliment,
like not even physically, but like the way you also like spend your time. Like I know personally, I will feel better about myself because I work nights. I have a day job that is nights.
you work at night, so when do you sleep?
Um,
You
ar-
look well rested, let me tell you. You must drink a
probably
lot of
go to
water.
bed. I'm a night owl for sure, but
Yeah, me too.
I go to bed probably around 2 a.m. Get up around noon, which I don't like. I sleep a lot,
You don't
unfortunately.
like, so
Yeah.
would you rather get up around like 3 or 4 p.m.? That's what
I would rather get up at like 10 in the morning at
Oh, really?
least, like earlier if possible, because I feel like when I get up early, and I get more things done in the day, and I'm not lazy and I don't mope around. Like when I'm productive, I feel better about myself.
It does feel
at the end
good,
of the
doesn't
day.
it?
And I think that is also really helps with my self confidence. Is just my productivity because that's important to me.
Self-love is what helps you be more productive also, like not treating yourself well, such as if you know
Yeah.
you're a tea or a coffee person in the morning and you haven't had either of those and you're rushing to go to work or start your day, you know you're going to be grumpy. So to better
Yeah.
love yourself, give your body and yourself the things you need in order to survive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, actually, with caffeine, like I'm definitely not a coffee drinker.
No, don't say that.
I think I prefer tea, but I'm not like I don't have it every day.
Oh, really?
And I'm not one of those people that like I need caffeine to wake
Oh,
up.
no.
I try
Okay.
to rely on just like natural waking up, and I think it's better. I think it's just more about timing and how long you sleep and the time you wake up and when you wake up, like if you wake up during that REM sleep, that deep sleep, like that's gonna screw you up for the whole day. Or if you, it's all
Yeah.
about timing the sleep.
So I definitely think if people would love to learn more about the Lear Wood and the other books you've written and are going to continue to write, they can go to AndreaChurchillBooks.com.
Yes.
And I'm just glad to speak to you today because I'm sure you, like so many other people, you love writing books, you love writing, and you've taken breaks from writing your books, but then you've also gotten right back to it. And
Yeah.
that's important for people to know that even if you stop with your dream or you take a break, you can still continue on and just do what you feel like you were meant to do in this moment. Not
Yeah.
what someone else has taught you that you were meant to do, but like what you truly feel within your heart. So
Yeah, the main thing is to just do what you love. I think that's the most important thing. And, just follow, like if you have a dream and you, like with acting, I do some acting on the side and, it was always kind of that thing, like it was just a dream. It was
yeah,
just like a fantasy that like, oh, I'm on this talk show like Jimmy Kimmel or I'm in this famous movie, and I said to myself, why don't I just try for it? Why
right.
does that have to be just a fantasy?
Well, faith without works is always going to be a fantasy that you want to live out. But now that you put the work along with the faith, it's like nothing is impossible, and no one
Yeah.
can tell you anything.
You just have to try your hardest
Yeah.
to get where you want to be, and then once you do that, then that's all you can do.
I love it. So positive. So on that note, people, join us on the next episode of the Deirra Show, and talk to you later. Bye. Chee-dee-dee.
Ain't no living life semi pseudo. Ain't no living life semi pseudo.